he said, well, looking over everything and talking with the prosecutor and seeing the details of this case, I can offer you 20 years. And I said, whoa, hold up. Did you really just say 20 years? 20? What's up, you guys? Welcome to today's video. So as you can tell by the title, we're going to be talking about the time that I was facing 20 years in prison. So I was arrested in Arkansas, and Arkansas state law is so confusing. So confusing. I've met people that have been in and out of prison their whole lives in Arkansas. I've talked to lawyers. I've talked to tons of people that should understand Arkansas state law, or at least give me a little bit of information, but they don't, because it's confusing. It doesn't make any sense. And as a New Yorker, New York law is very black and white. I can tell you basically, if you tell me the charges in the case, I can tell you what you're gonna get. Like I know that I know New York state law. Arkansas, I swear they spin the wheel of fortune wheel. So before we get into it, I'm not glorifying or glamorizing going to jail or prison. There's nothing cool, fun, or funny about it. It is my hope that sharing my story will deter you guys from making the same mistakes I made. And also I think it's really important in this specific video to highlight all of the illegal things that law enforcement did to me, as well as the things that I did. I 100% deserve to go to prison, and I'm actually really grateful for my prison sentence because it saved my life, it saved my daughter's life. And if you do not know my story and this is the first video that you're watching, check out the description box down below. I will leave videos of me and mine and my daughter's story. All right, without further ado, let's get into today's video. So it was October 20th, 2011 at 4:36 in the morning. Yep, and I just want to set the scene for you guys, for those of you that do not know my story. Let me lay this out for you guys before we get into my plea agreement so you guys know why I went to prison and all of that. So it's 4:30 in the morning, downtown Fort Smith, Arkansas. It's not downtown New York City. It's not downtown Chicago. It's downtown Fort Smith, Arkansas. There's no one out except tweakers and dealers, unless you work third shift. Don't come at me in the comments. Let's just let that one slip through, okay? So there's no one out, and for some reason, my co-defendant and I decided to go to the gas station at 4 o'clock in the morning, and we did have a strict rule against that. Like, we didn't sell in the middle of the night. Like, we didn't leave the house until the sun came up. Meth sucks, and it makes you do stupid things. So we decided that we were gonna go to the gas station. As soon as we got to the gas station, I looked out the gas station window and I saw a patrol car across the street. Now, I know that there's no one around. He's gonna hit the lights. Now, a lot of you are like, why'd you get in the car, Jessica? Why did you leave the gas station? Why didn't you leave it there? Fam, I hear you. I hear you. So when I saw the officer, I asked my co-defendant, please leave anything you have here. Please leave it here. It's not worth it. Not a big deal. Now, let me take you back 3 days prior to this. We got into a fight, my co-defendant slash baby daddy, and he thought I stole from him because, again, dope sucks. And you know, he'd been up for a few days and thought that I stole from him because we lost a little bit of stuff, and it was just a whole big dramatic scene. So now I'm saying, leave it at the gas station. They're gonna pull us over. And in his mind, because he is also under the influence, he's like, oh, this bitch trying to set me up, like da da da. And I understand now, looking back, his reasoning for that. I'm not like dogging him or talking crap. I'm just trying to make you guys understand like what his mind was doing. Meth makes you very paranoid as well. So, you know, I was like, that cop is gonna pull us over for sure. And he's like, and because I was high, I decided, fuck it. Guess we're going to jail today. And I don't understand why. Now, what I did not know at the time is there was an open investigation on me. The drug task force had been waiting to kick in our door. And they just saw this opportunity for us being out at 4 o'clock in the morning, driving around, to pull us over, or they saw us out and about. This was a good opportunity for them to just pull us over, light us up, take us to jail. So as soon as we get in the car, I'm telling you guys all of this for a reason. Hopefully this is making sense. As soon as we get in the car and I have that screw it moment, like, I guess we going to jail today. I guess we going to jail today. We get in, we pull out. Sure enough, the cop pulls right behind us, and co-defendant is like this, leaned over in the car. He's putting stuff underneath the steering column. And my first reaction to that was, he sees you. You're literally in the, like, leaning over like this. The first thing they're gonna do is go to the driver's side and search. I mean, it's just gonna happen. So I'm like yelling at him about it, and I'm being like, ah, like, I'm also chain smoking a cigarette like this, like, cause I'm going to jail. I'm like pounding a Mountain Dew and eating a Milky Way, which is weird. I hate them now, but that's what I would do on meth because I just needed sugar. I just needed that in my body because I was so depleted. I wouldn't eat or anything. So I was like pounding Mountain Dew, eating a Milky Way, like, oh my God, right? Going crazy. And then the cop hits the lights and I'm just like, I'm texting everyone like jail Fort Smith, jail Fort Smith, jail Fort Smith. Cause in my mind, my mom's gonna put 2 and 2 together. That text makes perfect sense. I'm going to jail and I'm in Fort Smith, but I didn't have time to write a full sentence. I'm texting everyone. I'm texting my sister, my mom, my friends, people in Arkansas, people that could potentially bond us out, our clientele. I'm texting everyone. Jail Fort Smith, jail Fort Smith, jail Fort Smith. So the cop doesn't come to the door and say, can I see your license and registration? No, he rips us out of the car. He puts co-defendant on one car. I'm on the other. They're yelling at us or whatever. And within maybe not even 3 minutes, other cars show up, the canine shows up, undercover shows up, DTF shows up. And it's this whole big dramatic scene. And now it's starting to make sense to me. Like, oh, this is not just a traffic stop because we're out at 4 o'clock in the morning and we're going to jail for possession. This is so much bigger than I realized. So I'm trying to put it all together. I'm also under the influence and really messed up. And I said, because I'm going to jail already, it's all mine. Now it is my advice to you that just don't talk. Do not say a word, nothing. Don't answer them, okay? If you know you're going to jail and you're running around and you're caught up in that shit, like, don't say anything to them. But I was irate. I had been up for 3 or 4 days. I was under the influence. I was not in my right mind, but I'm like, it's all mine. Don't arrest him. Like an idiot. So he's on parole. Baby daddy / co-defendant was on parole. He's going anyway. I have 3 felony warrants out of New York on a case that got dropped due to lack of evidence. So New York State did not have enough evidence to extradite me once they found out that I was locked up in Arkansas, and they dropped the case eventually. That took a couple of years to work on as well. And the person that was guilty of this crime, robbery, grand larceny, armed robbery, was serving time in prison. Randy. Because he did that. I did not. Anyway, so just to set the scene for you guys, there's DTF agents, there's patrol officers, and it's just this whole big dramatic scene. They're trying to get my co-defendant to allow them to search the vehicle. He's saying, no, you can't search the vehicle. No, you can't search the vehicle, da-da-da-da. Unfortunately for my co-defendant, when you're on parole, you don't get an option. They're gonna search the car. He's like, well, I'm gonna call your parole officer, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, all right, call my parole officer. And of course they did. They got permission to search the vehicle, and immediately they go right to the driver's side door. Under the steering column, they found 2 ounces of meth. Now, that's all they found. So I'm like, oh my gosh, like, we're so lucky. I'll tell you why in a second. So obviously they're like, this is possession, you're both going to jail. They put him in one car, they put me in another. Now they're driving us to the jail. And as the cop car goes to pull out, now keep in mind, like, they only found 2 ounces of meth. As the cop car that has me in it, we go to pull off, I see an agent get in our car, baby daddy's car, get in the car and drive away. They didn't impound the car, they drove it themselves, and it was a standard. And I'm just like, oh my God, my heart sank, because first of all, if you don't know how to drive a specific car and you don't know where the pocket is, the car's gonna jerk a little bit, okay? Unpopular opinion that doesn't matter and is not relevant to this video at all. Standards are so much better than automatic. Now let's get back on track. So I knew the car was gonna jerk a little bit because he's never driven this car before, and that made me very nervous because there was a gun under the steering column. Now keep in mind, in the original search, they did not find that. So we drive away, we're almost to the police station. It was very close to where we were in downtown Fort Smith, and I hear over the radio, well, you never guess what I found. We're in the South. That's my best impression. And I'm like, I bet I fucking can. And he said, comes over the radio saying there's a gun under the steering column or whatever. You guys, like, that sucked. That sucked, because I really thought we got away with at least one charge. So they take us to jail. I don't say anything to them, and I try to sleep it off. And about 3 or 4 days later, one of the correctional officers pulls me up front. And I'm telling you guys all of this for a reason. It's gonna make sense when I tell you why the plea agreement was so crazy and whatever. So a correctional officer comes to my cell and says, let's go up front. And now I already know what time it is. I already know what time it is. They want to question me and I'm nervous. I looked at the clock and I'm like, I have to be back in at least 5 minutes so no one thinks I'm gonna tell. I'm not rolling, like I gotta get back quickly. On the way up front, one of the officers stopped to talk to another officer and they're supposed to be escorting me up there. So I'm like, the clock is ticking. I'm freaking frantic, you guys. I'm like, just let's get up there. Let's get up there so I can tell you like, no, I'm not going. Like I should have just refused all of it, you know, but I didn't want to make a scene and I was also like out of my mind. So sure enough, they take me in this little room and they start interrogating me. They're doing the bad cop thing. They're screaming in my face, telling me I'm never gonna get out of prison, telling me this, telling me that, telling me like, New York's gonna put you in prison, so you're gonna serve all this time here and all this time there, but you can help us out and you can tell us where the drugs are coming in from and then this can go away. Right there, I said, take me back to my cell. This agent, this DTF agent, looked so familiar. And I'm looking at him and I'm looking at someone else, obviously in charge across the room, and I was just like, holy shit, you've been following me for weeks. And my heart sinks. And I didn't say that. The only thing I said to him at this point was take me back to my cell. But it's coming back. Like, you didn't think I was stealing in Walmart. You were following me in Walmart. Like, I saw him in a car at a hotel. I saw him at a restaurant. And now it's like all hitting me at once. And I feel sick to my stomach. And they continue to yell at me. I don't feel good. It's very obvious that I'm like coming down and I feel like shit. So finally I'm just like, I want a lawyer. I just want a lawyer. And the agent says, damn right you want a lawyer. You want to see the pictures we have of you? Now keep in mind, the conversation should have stopped there. After I said I would like a lawyer, they're not supposed to talk to you. And I almost forgot to tell you this, when I was being arrested, no one read me my rights, okay? So let's just do a tally of all the things that the Arkansas Police Department did not do properly upon this whole thing, right? So number one, they drove the car, they didn't have it impounded or towed, they drove it themselves to whatever lot, and the gun was found while I was not there, while no other officers were there, while my co-defendant was not there, the gun was just found there, right? That's not how it's supposed to go down. 2, no one read me my rights. 3, after I asked for a lawyer, you continue to interrogate me and you continue to yell at me and harass me or whatever. Not harass, but you know what I mean. So I'm like, sure, I would love to see these pictures. In my mind, I'm like, of course not. Like, why would I want to see the pictures you took of me? Like, this is sickening, right? He slides over these pictures of me. They're from inside this car. And I'm handing a big bag of dope in the back seat. I took one quick glance at it and I said, take me back to my cell. And he said, you really want to be the only person in this case that doesn't help us out and you really want to serve time in prison on shit that can go away today? And I said, take me back to my cell. They did. And a few hours later, a correctional officer comes back to my cell and slides a paper underneath the cell door. It's a new booking sheet. On it, it said possession of 2 ounces of meth, delivery of meth, delivery of meth, delivery of meth, and a gun. So they hit me with 3 more deliveries because I was not cooperating with them. And they were just trying to scare me, and I knew that was going to happen. So 3 weeks later, I meet my public defender and he tells me the first plea that I'm going to be offered after my arraignment, of course, and everything. He said, well, looking over everything and talking with the prosecutor and seeing the details of this case, I can offer you 20 years. And I said, whoa, hold up. Did you really just say 20 years? 20? Are you insane? And he looks at me and he's like, are you insane? Do you not understand the severity of this case? I'm like, you're supposed to be working for me. Like, you didn't even ask me anything. You just assume automatically that I'm guilty. You didn't ask me all of this. Like, I was not Mirandized. They drove the car themselves. The gun was not found while I was on scene. Like, what are you talking about? The car's not registered to me. I'm going over all of these things with my lawyer and he's just like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. These are the charges. This is the plea. You can either choose the 20 years, and in Arkansas, you could do 50%. Maybe you'll do a third. It depends if we can get the gun reduced. And I'm like, what? What do you mean I'll do a half or a third? That doesn't make any sense. Now, keep in mind, I am from New York, very black and white there. And now this lawyer is like telling me that he can't really tell me how much time I'll do. So on 20 years, I could potentially serve 10. And I said, I'm not fucking signing that. I need you to work a little harder, please. Keep in mind, I could not pay for a lawyer because when you are accused of being a drug dealer, which of course we all know I was guilty of that, they seize all of your assets, they impound your car, they took $5,500 from the car, they took $300 from my pocket. Like, you can't pay for a lawyer because all of your money was illegally gained, or they assumed that it all was, so you're indigent. I went back to my cell. The lawyer told me to call him if I changed my mind, and he'll try to get a different plea. You guys, I spent almost 4 months thinking I was gonna serve 20 years. DTF agents came back to question me 3 more times. Let me explain to you why I would never snitch. First of all, I'm guilty. I need to stand up and take responsibility for my actions. Second of all, it's not my job. It's not my job to tell you where drugs are coming in from. It's my job to fight for my case, fight for a better plea, and serve the time that I deserve. That's my job. It's not my job. It's not my job to help you do your job. You're a fucking Crime Stopper. That's your job. My job is to get the best plea agreement that I can and fight for my freedom. That's my job. I could not sleep at night knowing that I snitched on people that had nothing to do with my arrest. I just couldn't. And I understand that at this time I was pregnant, but my daughter will know that I'm a grown-ass woman. I stood up and I took responsibility for my own shit. So that's very important to me. I never have and I never will snitch. So moving forward, I spent 4 months thinking I was gonna get 20 years and maybe I'd serve a decade, and other inmates were telling me, New York, this is just how it is. This is what you're gonna get. You're gonna get a severe case. These are severe charges. And I'm like, I know that, but I can't sign that plea. We'll take it to trial. For those 3 reasons that I listed, they didn't read me my rights. The car's not registered to me. It's on the dash cam. You can see him putting the stuff underneath there. I'm gonna fight. I'm gonna fight as hard as I can. So, one of the nurses that worked at this jail came in and told me, your co-defendant just signed a 30-year plea. He'll serve 8. I about fainted. I couldn't understand, I didn't understand it. I didn't believe it. It's hard to explain what I was feeling in that moment because I was pregnant, but just the thought of him not being around for 8 years and not getting to know our daughter, which I had no idea what was gonna happen to her or myself, it was a very sickening feeling and it was very hard to digest. And I thought, did he not fight for a plea? And now I know that he just took the first plea, to the best of my knowledge. I might be wrong about that. I don't think I am. But that was very hard. The day before my co-defendant got sentenced, DTF came again to try to get me to snitch. I did not. And when I was walking back through on that last meeting with DTF, a girl that I was serving time with that did a little bit of time in the feds, who sold way more meth than me, okay? Way more meth than most of the people in this case. It was an investigation of about 27 people, Forrester included. And she said, New York, let me tell you something. There are 3 kinds of people in Arkansas. Those that told, those that wish they told, and those that wish they had somebody to tell on. Which one are you? And I thought, I was so mad because I already knew that she had made a phone call for the feds and set up someone, and he's serving 30 years in the feds under 80%, and he was like 40 at the time. She called this guy to do her a favor and deliver dope to her, and he got 30 years just so that she could get her sentence reduced. I do not believe in that. It is not acceptable. It is not okay. She should have stood up and took her own shit, right? And I know that she did that for a fact because I was able to bond out, and I will leave that story on the card up here. I sat in that courtroom and I listened to her testimony. So yeah, story for a different time. But anyway, moving on with this story. My lawyer came back after, 4 months and said, oh, let me back up a little bit here. Arkansas jail did not give me any legal books. I had no legal advice. I had inmates telling me how the laws work, and I had my friend Jason Forrester advising me on what to and what to not do as far as signing a plea agreement. He said, wait it out, be patient, don't just sign a deal trying to get out of jail. A lot of people rush to take plea agreements just to get out of county jail because they're so bad that they don't fight for their freedom. So after 4 months, my lawyer comes back and says, Jessica, I can offer you 10 years, 20 suspended. A suspended sentence is like a conditional discharge, like you can't commit another felony. And I said 10 years? No. If I was not pregnant, I would have signed 10 because I would have done 5. I can do 5. But I was pregnant, I had to fight harder. So I said, no, I'll go to trial. I remember walking back to my cell that day thinking, did you just make a horrible fucking mistake? I also want to put in here that my lawyer would not give me my motion to discovery. The only reason I know who is in my motion to discovery was because Jason Forrester got my paperwork from my co-defendant to make sure that I didn't tell and I was legit and that he could befriend me and trust me. So Jason Forrester saw my paperwork. I never did. They wouldn't give me my motion to discovery, and I begged for it. I asked and I asked and I asked and I asked. They would not give it to me, which is something I'd never experienced before. So I was scared. I did think that maybe I made a mistake after I said no to that second plea agreement, and that worried me. I mean, I was genuinely scared. Not only am I just getting more and more pregnant, but I have no idea where this baby is gonna go. I have no idea if New York is gonna need me to do time. I don't know if I can get that case dropped. I was scared, but I knew that I had to do it the right way. So finally, you guys, finally, after 6 months, my lawyer comes back and he says, Jessica, it's either this plea that I have right now or we're going to trial. Now, I've already decided in my mind that we're going to freaking trial. I mean, I've already just thought that that was what was going to happen anyway. He puts these papers down and he says, 5 years, 15 suspended. And I thought, I'm gonna be able to know my daughter. It was just such a weight was lifted off of my shoulders, you guys. Like, I can't even explain to you, like, how grateful I was. You know, this whole time I had people telling me that I was an idiot, that I was never gonna get out, I was gonna get all these years, that standing up and being the only not snitch was the dumbest thing ever. And in my heart, I knew I was doing the right thing, but I was also scared. So the room that I was in with my lawyer was right next to Jason Forrester's pod, and I said, hold on. And there was no officers in the hallway at this time, which is very rare. Like, it was just meant to be. I run over to FF pod and I said, get Forrester, and I'm yelling. And they're yelling, New York's at the door, New York's at the door, and they're screaming. And Jason was in the shower, and I'll never forget this ever because it looked so funny. He comes running on the tier. He's like, oh my God, he's basically naked. He barely has boxers on. He's putting his pants on, running on the tier. He almost falls. He goes down the stairs. He's putting his shirt on. And the officer, he's like, Forrester, put some clothes on. And Jason's like, whatever. And he almost breaks his face, like, running to the door. He's like, what? Is it the baby? And he puts his shirt on, and I'm like, hey. He's like, what? Now, I just thought it was so funny, and I genuinely just needed to laugh because it looked ridiculous. You know, Jason's like 6'3", and like he's big, and it just looked really awkward. So I needed that laugh. I'm like, my lawyer's here. 5 years. Do I sign for 5 years? And he said, I was in the shower. I'm like, no, I know. So 5 years? He's like, yes. What have you been talking about? 5 years? Sign that shit. Sign that shit. So I go back over to the little room that my lawyer is in, and I said, okay, I'll sign, give me that pen. And my lawyer, seeing this go on, said, did you really just take the advice of a thug over me? And I said, yeah, because that thug cares more about me than you ever will. Give me the pen. And I signed for 5 years, and I served 50% of my time. And I was so grateful for that, you guys. And also, I know that I did it right. I stood up, I took responsibility for my shit, I went to prison, and I did it all the right way. And I can sleep every single night knowing that I did the right thing. I did the right thing. Just because you make a mistake does not mean you can't recover and bounce back. Was I scared? Was I intimidated by this? By not understanding Arkansas state law? By being pregnant? Of course I was. But I had to do what was best for me. And in my personal opinion, snitching is just not the way to go. It just isn't. So I really hope you guys took something from this story time. I want you guys to know that prison is not the end of the world. It can absolutely be a positive thing if you decide that you are going to spend your time in self-reflection and wanting to be a better person. And that's really what I did. This last prison sentence for me changed my life. It made me see that I wanted to be sober. I wanted to change. I was going to get my life together. I was going to be a mother. And I've accomplished all of the things that I said that I was going to when I was in that prison cell. The minute my feet hit the pavement, I went to work because I was 2.5 years behind. I had to make up all of the time that I lost. So I'm so grateful for my freedom. I don't take anything for granted. Also, I want to throw this in here at the end. I'm sorry that the lighting is rough. I usually film with natural light on this side, but the sun went down. I did want to throw this in so you guys know what is going on. Baby daddy just got out of prison 4 or 5 days ago. So, you know, this story was fresh on my mind, and I will keep you guys posted as to all of the details with that. And yeah, I'm gonna end today's video here. I love you guys. Stay safe, stay sober, do not break the law or snitch, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.